wildlife
containers
stockpile.
are coming from Nigeria.
As Africa's key transit hub.
Illegal trade in wildlife has caused the decline of many species.
But together, we can change this story. No longer will we tolerate wildlife trafficking. We are updating our laws, increased the penalties, and prosecuted more offenders.
Nigeria remains fully committed in the fight against wildlife crime, and we will continue to honor all international obligations to protect our biodiversity.
Together, we will protect our wildlife for future generations. Please report wildlife crime and say no to illegal bushmeat. Because protecting nature protects all of us.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. Thank you for joining us today on Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, a brand new one for the brand new week, for a brand new day, and of course, a brand new year. Thank God for life. We are here, beaming live on channel 190 on StarTimes DTT, and also on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. Femi Ojo is my name. And this is what we do here at this time, is Morning Spring o'clock. You're welcome. Good morning, Daniel.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah. How was your weekend?
Unpleasant.
Pleasant or unpleasant?
Unpleasant. I know you're surprised to hear that. Well, it was another weekend of experiencing the failure of the government of Osun State to provide residents with basic amenities such as electricity. Supply. You know, we've been talking about this over and over again.
Is that a function of the government, though?
Whose function is it? My function?
No, talk about the state government and electricity.
No, they should take responsibility for it.
Okay.
Yeah, they should take, every state government should take responsibility, for providing residents of the state with basic amenities. So they should take responsibility. Because it should be irresponsible for anyone to start shifting it, saying, oh, okay, Mr. President should be the one to fix everything. No, the state also has resources. Okay, so it's left for the state to be innovative enough to make sure they provide those. Electricity power supply is very basic. So when very soon they'll start campaigning for re-election, and they will expect people to follow them. And we've been talking about this over and over again. Many residents of the state are saying this situation it's abysmal.
Right.
It's terrible, and it's a failure of the government. And I do not expect them to, start shifting blames and saying, no, this is not their responsibility. No, they shouldn't say, they can't say that it's not their responsibility.
Okay.
So those are the things that they should look into. And again, talking about power supply, just over the weekend, I understand that even the Minister of Power is now, has declared his interest to contest for governorship of Oyo State.
Right.
Yes, someone who hasn't done well in the Ministry of Power and is coming to contest for governorship of Oyo State. Again, I think Nigerians should just open your eyes and just know the kind of leaders they are voting into offices.
Well, sorry about the experience at the weekend, by the way. It's we just hope things will get better, by the way. But talking about Mr. Adebayo Adelabo, making his intention known to be governor of Osun State, that would be the decision of Oyo State residents and people. But then, in the Premier League, let's say, in football rather, some coaches, I'm just saying, some coaches are fired in a club. They get hired by another club. Then they move to another country. They do well. Sometimes they don't. They get fired again. There are coaches that have been fired by some clubs. They still come back to the same club. And, maybe they do well. You just hope. Maybe. Just maybe. Because that's just the way it is, at least in football. Also, Mourinho was fired in Chelsea, or he left rather. He went to another club. Before that, he was at Inter Milan, and he did well for them. Then he went and on to Real Madrid, to Turkey. I think he came back to Tottenham Hotspur. He came to Man United. Right now, he's still a coach somewhere. If they get fired, you get another job. But then, if that will be, it's not exactly the same as politics and governance, actually, because for those for that sector I've talked about, is about his skill and the antecedents. Well, the Oyo State people, he should get the tickets first. That's just the thing, It's still a long journey, actually. But then this is the time for anybody to make bold. And then at some point, he will have to leave the cabinet.
Absolutely.
If actually he has an ambition, so that it won't be like some of the things that happened under Buhari, in which many persons were having ambition, yet they were still members of the cabinet. We should do better. But then, if what he has done or what he hasn't done in power will be a factor for anybody to choose him or not to choose him, time shall tell.
Absolutely. And again, away from Nigeria just for a while, in the United States, flash floods in Texas have claimed about 59 lives, and so many people are still missing. About 20-something children are still missing from a youth camp along the River Guadalupe. So it's not looking good at all. Right. Several people have lost their lives again because of flash floods. And we keep talking about climate change and all that. So it's not only in Nigeria, actually.
No, it's Mother Nature. Absolutely. There is a reason why it's called Mother Nature. And so when let's say she now, because we call it Mother Nature, vexes, then all of those things come up. But then how people, government at all levels, critical stakeholders respond to this or prepare for this is another thing.
Absolutely. And still in the United States, guess what? Elon Musk has announced the launching of a new political party, the America Party. He has said before, he posted a poll on Twitter, on X, just to know the views of Americans. And he says, by a ratio of 2-to-1, that Americans actually want a new party. Away from, the two-party state of the Democrats and the Republicans, now there'll be America Party just to challenge, the big two. So
it's allowed.
Yeah, but unfortunately, he cannot run for U.S. presidency because he wasn't born in the United States, so he's not eligible to run for president in the U.S.
I was born in South Africa, originally from South Africa. But then let's see how it goes. It's always good for generations to have disruptors, because status quo may not really be good for anybody. But how far, how early, how long, how quick, how swift that move will go, Americans will be the ones to decide, because not all Americans are on Twitter. So one don't know where he took his opinion poll from. But the guy, I think he has an axe to grind with his former friend.
Absolutely.
So whatever he can do, but then the guy is there, that's DTT, is there, Trump is there already, and he can't run again after this, at least by their constitution. These are some of the things we'll see. But I guess there is a lot to really talk about. The opposition, the coalition, many talks are ongoing at the state levels. Even the ADC, they are talking tough. And many persons are saying, excuse us, what can you do? On social media, there's a balance that they say. I like to paraphrase it so that it doesn't look offensive. When something relatively small comes up and begins to show some levels and, hands up and all of those things, and among the big boys, you will hear social media users say, oh, small something they shake. I can't say that. Okay. So, so that's a possibility as a place of ADC now, at the position of other parties to say, you too, in all of this. But then never say.
One major thing about the ADC and Nigerians are really waiting is just to know their decision concerning zoning of the presidency, or who will get their presidential ticket. That's a big question. Because so far, all of them actually have presidential ambitions. So you have Aregbesola, who has presidential ambition. You have Atiku.
But he hasn't declared that.
Yeah, he hasn't declared, but they have the ambition.
I think only Atiku has come out with that.
Peter, Amechi too has declared. Amechi recently too has declared interest.
We should, you should.
Let's see how it will go.
Anybody should declare at some point. But I think for now, for you, the past situation should just get better first.
Absolutely.
And then you know what to declare on. And I think that's why you haven't told people your name.
Emeka Daniel is my name.
This morning.
Yeah, it's just that it's quite unfortunate when we have when we have a government that cannot provide something as basic as electricity, and they still spread propaganda. It's annoying when you hear them saying, "No, this person is working, the governor is working," and you can't even fix the basic things. You turn a blind eye to that.
Okay.
And you are campaigning. When you're campaigning, you're not talking to market women, for God's sake. There are some things you don't tell, some kinds of people. So you should be able to fix it. Please, the government of Osun State, fix the abysmal electricity power supply situation in the state. That's the least the citizens, the residents can ask for. Please do that, for God's sake. I mean, it's embarrassing that in 2025, you can't even provide electric power supply to your people. So what are you campaigning? On what basis should people vote you again, should you be elected to spend another 4 years in office if you cannot fix this? It's quite unfortunate.
Still, you haven't mentioned your name.
I have actually. Emeka Dada is my name. Thank you for joining us on Morning Spring. This is Western Spring Television. Good morning.
Vexing o'clock this morning. We'll go on this quick break. We'll be back. Stay with us. All right, we kickstart the newspaper segment today from the Nation newspaper, The Nation, you know, and a big bold banner headline says, Mark, Aregbesola take over in conflict with ADC constitution. Mark, Aregbesola take over in conflict with ADC constitution. And there is a writer to that, Nwosu Matara disagree on amendment of party rules. Nwosu Matara disagree on amendment of party rules. All right. Beside that, you have the picture of Mr. President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. All right, and governance, Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos, Dapo Abiodun Ogun, Yasin Talia Benue, and Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Mitama Tugal, you know, and then Brazil President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, and other officials during the BRICS meeting in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, yesterday. So you see both comes in different parts, the Nigerian contingent on the left and then the Brazilian counterpart on the right, and it's about BRICS. I think sometimes last year Nigeria applied to be part of the BRICS. You talk about the BRICS originally, you talk about Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now there are other members as well. And, you know, the president left St. Lucia and he's now in Brazil. You could see all of them, the governors there suited up, you know, and the minister, except for the Sir Bola Tinubu, who still chose to be in his, you know, signature kaftan. All right. Now, top strip, I'm still in Labour Party, says Obi. I am still in Labour Party, says Obi. And next to that is this story, headline rather, Natasha, I will resume tomorrow.
Interesting.
Interesting, you know, the court has pronounced a statement or, you know, told the Senate to reinstate her. Now, you know, many persons will say there are processes to these things.
Well, the Senate says they've not received the CTC of that ruling.
And they will want to, you know, have that and, you know, ponder on it. Although many persons will say the court has given you, when the court speaks, it's not for you to decide what
your opinion doesn't matter.
But then one will say there is a legal unit, legal committee that will study to see how they will come in. Now, the Nation's reporting that Natasha put it suspended. Okay. Senator from Kogi Central who said she will resume tomorrow because plenary starts on Tuesday. Don't really do plenary.
She should, unless the Senate gets an injunction.
Then the Senate might want to
her.
say, shouldn't now on both sides, shouldn't she wait for invitation? Actually, I'm just saying, one will say, okay, you were suspended, then you should be called back as well. Not that they have a choice; they should call you back. Now that you have not been called back, the Senate, the court didn't say Natasha go back. The court said the Senate should reinstate her. So these are two different things. So one will wait to see you were suspended. And now when the court has prevailed upon the Senate, you should wait for you should be reinstated, invited back. Now, but the madam is saying she's going, the senator rather, I apologize about that. The senator is saying she will go back tomorrow. So I would have played her. Well, so that we avoid another round of drama.
Yeah, some
unnecessary drama.
Some would also argue that since the court has ruled that unless the Senate gets an injunction, okay, to restrain the stay of that action, the execution of that ruling, that Natasha can actually resume office. That's what some would argue. So it's left to
we are saying the same thing here, but I'm only saying now that it appears like the court, you know, does not have an opinion in this except to get a stay or whatever, interlocutory injunction on this, it's, you know, upon them to invite her back. You know, she didn't just leave.
They might decide to play politics with it as well.
That's what Nigerians
use delaying tactics.
And even if, you know, many Nigerians are saying, They are waiting if actually the Senate will appeal that decision. And then people will make up their opinion to say, we said it was personal all along. It wasn't about the institution. Because if the Senate will choose to appeal, they haven't said that. They said they will study the development. And then I'm not sure it will look really good on them. Because that means the whole institution again
against one person.
Be against one person. And will it still be about not understanding Senate rules or being disruptive or being rude? Then it will not, another prism will be open for the people to look through and say, you have suspended this person. She has served almost 2 or 3 months out of that. The court has reinstated her or prevailed upon you to reinstate her, and you still want to appeal. Do you have something against this person as an individual beyond now the substance of the allegation of sexual harassment has not even been dealt with? I think that's in another suit, and people will wait. Now that the senator is saying, here we go, Abuja, Senate, National Assembly, here I come. We wait to see. But Nigerians are tired of drama, actually.
Absolutely.
Let's just focus on what truly matters. Now, firms, local substitution boost trade balance. And bottom strip, ethnic nationalities back Wike's demand on release of NDDC forensic report. It was quite a gas boost at the weekend. It was, I think it was on Friday or thereabout, when Minister Wike appeared on a program and he spilled a lot of information, in response to Mr. Amichi's claim on him and all of those things. And, man.
Wike I'm justifying the, his claim of having a Rolls Royce, justify that. Why not? That he has a Rolls Royce, there's nothing he can do about it.
And he didn't come from a poor background.
Exactly.
He can't relate to the kind of background that Amichi came from.
Well, several videos, several clips have emerged on social media trying to say that he was lying about most of the things he said. A particular one said he was disowned by his father, he was adopted by a chief or not. I mean, different things coming up. But again, talking about Wike, you are bragging that yes, you have a Rolls Royce. Up till now, as we speak, workers in FCT, state-owned broadcaster, ASO Radio and ASO TV have not been paid for 8 months. Wike is sitting on their salaries for 8 months.
Well, I think you should be careful about that.
Hold on. I still confirmed.
I think you should understand with the fact that they have not been paid.
They have not been paid. They've not been
sitting
paid.
on the salary, we don't know.
He's in charge of the FCT, and it's FCT, it's state-owned organization. So the buck still stops
and
on this table. The people they are saying he's the one on top, he's the one in charge. So for 8 months, you've not paid them. These are guys in the media. Unfortunately, those guys, I spoke to a couple of them. Those guys cannot speak out because they are scared of losing their jobs. It's a state-owned media, and they have the platform, but they can't speak because they're scared of losing their job. So when you have people, you have media people who have been paid for 8 months, and you are bragging that you own a Rolls Royce, what kind of leaders do we have in Nigeria, for God's sake?
I think there will be time for us to look into all of that. That'll be all from the Nation newspaper.
And from the Nation, we move to the front page of Daily Trust newspaper this morning. On the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, Obi insists on 2027 contest as Atiku hints at running. Obi insists on 2027 contest as Atiku hints at running. Talking about Vice President, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who has hinted that he might run again. And some people have actually said last week that the sole purpose of the ADC is just to, position Atiku again for presidency. Well, in the coming days and weeks, we will get to know the direction of the ADC. Away from the banner red line, we have FG puts presidential jet on sale in Switzerland. FG puts presidential jet on sale in Switzerland. We understand that some presidential jets from former President Obasanjo era has been put on sale. I think about 2 of them. So I wonder what those jets have been doing all this while, just sitting there, and you have to pay for hangar, pay for maintenance and all that. Anyways, I'd like you to read up that story on page 12 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Away from that, leaked documents. How FCTA worker was queried, arrested, detained. Leaked documents. How FCTA worker was queried, arrested, detained. You find a story on page 6. And right beside that, we have millions of Nigerians in multidimensional poverty. Millions of Nigerians in multidimensional poverty, according to the NLC. You find that story on page 73. Is that 73? I guess. Millions of Nigerians in multidimensional poverty. And right there at the picture, you can 39 killed in Kano. Beg your pardon. Just below the picture, you have 39 killed in Kano, Lagos, Ogun road crashes. And you can see pictures right there. You can see the wreckage of the traffic accident right there. 39 killed in Kano, Lagos, Ogun road crashes. Quite unfortunate. You'll find all that on page 5. And moving to the bottom strip, we have Boko Haram kills 9, injures 4 in Borno. Boko Haram kills 9, injures 4 in Borno. You find that on page 7. And beside that, you have FG fines MultiChoice 766.2 million naira for violating Data Protection Act. FG fines MultiChoice 766.2 million naira for violating Data Protection Act. You find that story on page 34. And finally, from the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, Nigeria cruised to 3-0 over Tunisia at WAFCON. Nigeria cruised to 3-0 over Tunisia at WAFCON. So I'll say congratulations, Nigeria. But do not get your hopes too high. I'll leave it at that. That will be all from the front page of
I will
the
take
Daily
you from
Trust.
there. Get, as far as the ladies are concerned, you can be hopeful.
For the ladies, absolutely.
Actually, so it's about WAFCON. It's about the ladies right now. Trashing Tunisia 3-0, and it's been long. We won the Women African Cup of Nations. It's been a while. There was a time that Nigeria, as a country, won it like 5 times, back to back to back. I think we are the record holder right now.
Yeah, our female team, they've been doing well.
Yeah,
actually.
but then, many African nations has caught up with the Super Falcons, and that's the way it is. You can't be too comfortable, in all of this. Especially South Africa, pose a very big threat. The Cameroonians, and at some point, I think some of these North African nations, we wish them all the best. And the aim is not just to be champions on the continent. Waiting for that time that will be champions of the world.
World champions.
Yeah, world champions. Because when you get there, the US of this world are waiting. The Brazil of this world are waiting. The Germany, Canada of this world, especially in women football. We hope we join, that particular rank very soon. Good luck to the girls. Blaze on. All right, and Nigerian Tribune is next. Nigerian Tribune, I'm going to contest for president in 2027. That's from Obi. Maybe not Femi Ojo now, for now. I'm going to contest for president in 2027. Obi wants the North to trust him. Dismisses VP slot deal with Atiku. Justifies romance with ADC. Again, rider to that story wants the North to trust him, dismisses VP slot with Atiku, and justifies romance with ADC. All right, at this point, the good is a mixture of the good, the bad, the ugly. Absolutely. Politically speaking, anything, anybody to work with, to emerge, Now, killings, Tinubu, others, military to crush terrorists and bandits. I wonder the reason for all these continuous orders, and others. There are some things that are statutory, and they don't need orders to be given for that. There's a military architecture in Nigeria.
And he's the commander-in-chief.
Well, so maybe that's why he's giving orders, by the way. Now, we have a picture of the Ogun State Governor, Dapo Abiodun, Delta State Governor, Sheriff Francis Oborowori, and welcoming President Bola Tinubu to Brazil in Rio de Janeiro, ahead of the 17th BRICS Summit in Brazil. This protocol thing always make me laugh, The same people you travel with, they have to get them first, welcome you from the same trip. At the other side, when you get back here, the same people you travel with, you come back, line up, and then you shake their hands. Well, they said it's protocol.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, again, Wike berates coalition leaders, accuses them of seeking power for personal interest. And there was a video of Wike at the church at the Thanksgiving, to thank God for this progress that he has been doing or something like that. And the man got to the parish, and it was just about politics. And,
Well, I don't blame politicians. I blame churches who allow them to use their platform, I mean, to spread propaganda.
So what should they do?
Politics.
Seize off the mic from...
Not seize the mic. You don't have access to them. No, now.
Okay.
If it's Thanksgiving, okay. They
should not even allow them
some churches are well disciplined. No, if you want to speak, if it's Thanksgiving, you want to speak, they should give you time. If you have 3 minutes to speak, you speak for 3 minutes.
And Nigerian politicians can do a lot of damage in that 3 minutes, in that 2 minutes. All right, let's go ahead. Now, Northeast stakeholders hold pre-summit deliberations ahead of Patriots confab. All right, and ADC plots to test coalition strength with Lagos LG poll. Interesting. Post talks with PDP and LP candidates. So many stories there that was taken before. That'll be all from the Nigerian Tribune.
And quickly, we take a look at the Punch newspaper. From the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning, 10 states borrow 417 billion naira despite higher allocations. 10 states borrow 417 billion naira despite higher allocations. With a rider, Rivers, Taraba, top debt surge as 10 states account for 34% of subnational domestic debt. I'm talking about debt in Nigeria. How you find that story on page 31 of the Punch this morning. And below that, you have Nigeria's unity under attack from terrorists, separatists. That's according to Tinubu. Nigeria's unity under attack from terrorists, separatists. And moving to the top strip now of the Punch newspaper this morning. Recapitalization, 5 banks hit CBN target ahead of deadline. Recapitalization, 5 banks hit CBN target ahead of deadline. And below that, you have 2027 rather, coalition crisis brews as ADC chairman sets terms for alliance. Coalition crisis brews as ADC chairman sets terms for alliance. You find that story on page 2. And that will be all from the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. That also brings us to a conclusion of the newspaper review segment of the show this morning. We will take a break. When we return, we'll continue with the program. Please stay with us.